Hey y'all, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley, and this is a new project called Monday Movies, where we're gonna take movies and we're gonna talk about the symbolism and the ways that we can pick up on some shit that these motherfuckers put in for our entertainment. And today is the Hunger Games. I really wanted to start with like the Da Vinci Code series, but I think that Hunger Games is more pertinent to what we're experiencing in this moment. So we're going to talk about Hunger Games. They are available on YouTube for free. The links are in the description box below. And while Dogon was here, I had a movie marathon. I don't think I had ever seen the last two. Hey, Woodstock, stop please. And so I watched all of them, but I want to just talk about the first one today and things that we can really see. Hey, back off of him. Come on. Back off, Woodstock. Back off. So anyway, I am wearing my Katniss Everdeen Mockingjay braid. And yeah, I think that the first important thing to talk about is the districts and the capital, and the separation of elite from working class. This movie does an amazing job of portraying that, letting you see what that looks like, I think one of the important things to notice is the technology and how the capital has access to all this incredible technology, but the people in the districts are living, pre-modern lives. And so that's really important. I think that especially with these UFO disclosures and all of this shit lately, we know that the government has access to technologies that we do not. Of course, we knew that with the military and everything, but even if you just watch like CSI or any of those crime shows and the fucking technology that they have, I mean, it's nothing compared to what we have. And that stuff in the CSI and those movies shows and looks the same as what it does in Hunger Games when they have like those big computer screens that they can pull up, or and even the games themselves, how they're developed. You have a lot of people talking about flat earth and how we live in this dome, and I think of Hunger Games when they talk about that. I'm not a flat earther, but it's an interesting concept, especially when you look at the Hunger Games and you look at those big domes that they do the Hunger Games in. It's interesting. I'm not putting this out there to make people go manic or psychotic, but I think there's really interesting parallels that we need to examine and think about, especially with what we're seeing. So I want to talk a little bit about, the capital and the, what, you two? Woodstock, leave him alone. Sorry, I gotta get the leash. Woodstock is so much better, but he's just the same. Look at this mess right here. Look at what this dog did. He had these big pillows. He chewed them up. Fucker. Anyway. So I think the important thing to really recognize about that is the way that, Haymitch coaches Katniss in the first movie about you need to get liked so you can get sponsors, because the only way you can survive is if you have sponsors. And I think that's really interesting. There's another line in that movie that I thought was really fascinating in the first movie, where the president and the guy who did the game, the guy that, like, spoiler alert, gets killed in the end by the president. Anyway, I think that when they gave Katniss the 11 before the games begin, after she put a bow and arrow in the apple, the president says, fear. He says something about how, this isn't verbatim, but it was something about how the only thing stronger than fear is hope, and you're giving too much hope. And so I want you guys to remember that, because in the past couple of years, we've been surrounded by fear-mongering. I myself probably look like a fear-mongerer with the prep stuff and the collective coffees. But again, if you are prepared and stay prepared, then you don't need to get prepared. You know, you won't have to be running around crazy. But I thought that was really interesting. What else from the first movie? I don't know. It just, like I said, I watched all of them. I've never watched all of them in a row like that. But because they were free, I was like, fuck this, yeah. And I've been planning on this Movie Mondays, or Monday movies, for a couple weeks. So, yeah, things that did. I think, I don't know. I don't really want to speak to like the whole, love thing or any of that, but I think like what we can take from this is that the narratives, that's it. Let's go there. So the narratives of that the Capitol pushes on Katniss and Peeta, to get that appreciation and support is that love narrative, right? Which, in the end it ends up working out. But the way that it's scripted in the movie is very telling of like things that probably really do happen in Hollywood. And I feel like the Capitol and the elite in the movie are very reminiscent. That's not the right word. I don't know. They're very telling of, like, think of the Met Gala that happens every year where these people just dress like they're at the Capitol for the Hunger Games. Not to mention the real life child trafficking that's happening right now. And I'm not coming at that from a QAnon stance. I'm coming at that from a this is real stance. Child trafficking and human trafficking, we've already done this, are on the up right now. There's parents all over the fucking place sharing stories of how their children and them were targeted or stuff like that. So I think that even just that premise of the Hunger Games being child sacrifice, hello, you don't have to believe in adrenochrome or any of that, but like the Epstein Island stuff is real. You have survivors sharing their stories. This shit is real. So, and even, just talking about school constructs, just hearing that sounds like the Hunger Games. So I want you to watch it with a critical eye if you have this space and time. And I'm going to go through every movie a little more in depth. I just wanted to start with the first one today because they are so steeped in symbology and I feel like people are starting to wake up in our real life collective, and have been since 2020. But I feel like one of the most important things is, especially about the Hunger Games, is that in the end the people win, and we're not going to get very far having to survive this shit if we don't have enough energy to fight. And so right now they are taking the energy of all of us. Energy harvesting is very real, okay? That's why there's, we've talked about this. If you stay at a fear level, just like what President Snow says in the movie, the only thing stronger than fear is hope. And so if we are constantly bombarded and we've talked about the way that the news uses certain words and portrays certain things to instill fear constantly. And when we start to be able to think critically, we can use that lens of what's going on and we can apply it to movies, and we can see these movies and we can use empathy and a lens of critique and similarity to make parallels, okay? It's not far-fetched. It's not conspiracy. It's using what they give us and analyze how it is our life, right? It's taking this movie and putting it on us. And I think just like, if nothing else, watch the movie and notice how the districts do not have power. Notice the language of peacekeepers when they do absolutely the opposite of that. That rhetoric exists in our lives. These motherfuckers are on the street killing people all the time, and people still call them peacekeepers, peace officers. Police are not for us. The role of police is to protect the elite and power and the structure and systems. And you can see that in this movie. So, yeah. And I think even just the whole layout of Hunger Games, how there's no objection, there's no ability to object that. There's only the ability to be compliant and offer your children as sacrifice. I feel like if you take this scope and pull it back and apply it to what we're experiencing right now, fucking duh. Our children at schools have become, targets for fucking AR practice. Our children are being municipal codes, especially in Florida and all of these red states, and they're putting children on the fucking sacrifice table. They're putting our children under the guillotine, metaphorically speaking. Hopefully we need to start making those ourselves. But I think that what we can really understand is the way that the lens of Hunger Games does apply. Ow! Fuck, man! Wow. Ouch. Niall just stubbed my toe and spilled my coffee all over me. Anyway, I think... that hurt my toe. I think that... Stop, please, stop, both of you. Enough. No, enough. Enough. You just hurt my toe really bad. Ouch. But we can see this happening. I think it's important to also notice the way that Kat gets radicalized throughout the movies. I think that we are constantly bombarded with, like, when someone does die in the Hunger Games, they broadcast it on this big screen with like a cannon sound. And I feel like we experience that on a daily right now with all the atrocities that we're seeing. You're scrolling through social media looking at, 1 second you're looking at your friend's baby shower, and 2 seconds later you're looking at fucking mass atrocities all over the globe due to global warming or war or whatever. And so I want us to remember that in this movie that's happening too, and it symbolifies that, you ain't shit. You're not worthy. You're a sacrifice. It doesn't matter. And a lot of people are getting to this point. Suicide rates are rising in this fucking country because of everything that people are going through. People are like, I can't do this. And I feel like it's just going to get worse. And so I think that, we see all of this happen in the Hunger Games. We see people, we see this, and it's just fascinating. Okay, so I want us to remember for these Monday movies that movies often, if not always, I mean, even just looking at The Simpsons for, I don't know what you guys see because your social media and your internet is catered to your views and what keeps you buying and consuming. But The Simpsons have had blurbs of all of these things that we're experiencing. And people are like, how can that be? Because these motherfuckers are doing it. And so I really want you to look at pop culture and movies and music and listening to things. We're having movie or music producers or people coming out saying, ever since that Travis Scott stuff said, like, I know I'm trailing off, but like different frequencies are added to music to gain compliance and keep people at a certain vibration. I myself have experienced this. And yeah, this shit, like the HZ, and even in this conversation about Maui, the frequency of Maui is the same frequency as the heart chakra. And there's all these different HZs, and we listen to I think it's a 928. No, that's my area code. I don't remember, but we listen to an HZ every single night, along with our Bob Marley, to help us sleep. And you can find frequency music on YouTube, and they have a lot of them that are like 10 hours long, so you can sleep to them. But anyway, we do that. And so I just want to talk about like sounds and things like that. Here in America, everybody's on high alert every time we hear a balloon pop or a firework or a gunshot. We don't know, and everybody's responding, of course, in terror. And so I just want us to think about this movie and the way that exists within the movie, and I want you to be able to think critically, and just take it for what it is. Take it for what you see. Think about the ways that there are parallels. And it's a form of pop culture. It started out as a children's book, which is terrifying. But yeah, so I think that's a good place to start. I hope you guys have the availability to watch the movies or parts of the movies. If you don't have that space, maybe just check out hashtags about the movies, see what other people have said, finding those parallels. And it's a tool and a source for waking up and acknowledging the powers that be in our own lives, and how we are just here for their entertainment, here for their benefit, here for their capital, literally when you're looking at the movie. And then think about capital and capitalism is not hard. Okay, it's right there. So, and then just like the Hunger Games, what we're seeing at the grocery stores right now. I mean, how much groceries are? We went to the grocery store yesterday. We spent about $350. 350 fucking bucks. And I got home and I'm like, this isn't very much, So Hunger Games, these are games to them because they have money, and that's what money is used for. And for those of us that don't, and I think it's also just a really interesting concept is the whole movie starts out talking about we've been doing these Hunger Games because of the rebellion, right? And so I think that, what we've seen in certain rebellions, it's not hard to see. We see that with Black Lives Matter. We see that with whenever there's police shootings, or, what happened in Tennessee with the gun control, and like removing those two guys off the city council, or if that was out of the political field that they were in, and then they got reinstated. I want you to recognize that as much as we can do to get into this system that already exists and change it for better, that's not how it works. Okay, so when we're talking about a rebellion, we're talking about people not doing things for the system and doing things for each other, and really coming together in that way. So watch the Hunger Games if you have the ability and capacity. I'm not trying to scare you, but I want you to be able to think critically about these things. And this is an older piece of, this is older, but I think it's so pertinent to what's going on right now. So I hope you all have a good one. I'll come on next week and we'll do Movie Mondays, or Monday movie, I don't remember. When I was typing up the hashtag and I put movie second or first, I don't know, it didn't look right. And I was like, so I changed it. But anyway, The links are down below. If you have the availability to watch them, please do. Take care of yourself. Don't put yourself in the people's shoes to the extent that you go crazy, because that's not really our reality. It's definitely heightened in the movie, and it's easier to conceptualize. So that's all. Continue to take care of yourselves. Continue to get ready for even nothing less than a natural disaster, okay? Even though there's not really anything natural about what's going on. So, I love y'all, and I hope you have a good one.